Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Radical Edge of HR with HR Knowledge Source. I have the pleasure of being your host today. My name is Tanya Hawley, and I'm so happy to be here with you once again to discuss a hot topic, or at least a very interesting one. So, today's topic is breaking barriers, women across time. And of course, we bring you the experts, and we have one of the experts in her field. I'll let her tell you a little bit about it, but we want to just talk about how women are breaking barriers in different areas. And I have a guest for us today. She is the president and CEO of CDH Partners. So please join me in welcoming Melissa Cantrell.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate it. Happy to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you. You're such a pleasant person. I can say that. So, welcome, welcome. I can't wait to dive in today. But before we do a super dive, can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your company? I know I said you're the president and CEO of CDH Partners, but people may not know exactly what that is.
Absolutely. So, CDH Partners is an almost 50-year-old architecture and interiors firm located in the Cumberland area here in Georgia for your national viewing audience.
Yes, thank you.
And you're welcome. And so we work with a variety of different client base. We focus in our health and wellness area, which encompasses anything from a doctor's office renovation to a patient room renovation, all the way up to a green field or not to use architecture speak, but brand new facilities, towers for hospitals. We are also in education and research, which is anything from a public-private K-12 to higher education facilities, and worship and community, which is obviously churches, faith-based projects, and then our LiveWorks team, which focuses on corporate environments, light industrial, senior living, and things along those lines. So we really run the gamut with regard to institutional and public and private sector projects that touch the human condition. And our tagline is improving lives through design, because that's what we do on a daily basis, is what gets us up and brings us to work.
Wow, the human condition. I like that. I
Um,
like that. I don't think you left anything unturned. I mean, I think you covered every aspect.
Almost everything.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
should have said, is there anything that you all don't cover? I don't think there's anything left. Um,
Not too much. We
okay.
we work with many different client bases, but most of our clients we select,
I
and
love
we
it.
we are selective with our clients to make sure that they're working with their projects and their stakeholders for a reason. So
Mm.
even developers, it's those owner operators who really want to make a difference in the communities that they serve as well.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was a great description. I think people will have a better understanding of what exactly you all do.
Yeah.
But I do want to just pick your brain a little bit and go back to I'll say the beginning, because I told you personally, I have never sat down and had a conversation with an architect, period. So there may be a lot of people like me out there. So if you don't have an absolute reason to do it, you may not come in contact with them. So could you tell us how this journey started for you? I assume you were and still are an architect, even though now you're the CEO. So could you just describe for us a little bit of the journey, but also what exactly being an architect entails?
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. I was 11 when I declared that I was going to be an architect.
Oh,
And yeah, and everybody gave me the same, oh, well, because they didn't know what that really meant.
right.
I'm not sure how I really knew, but somehow I did. Probably read a book or saw something, but I knew that I wanted to be an architect. And early on defining that for people that I ran across who challenged that and said, oh, you want to do interior design? And, no, I want to do architecture. Or you want to do construction? No, I want to do architecture. So what we do is we work with our clients to bring their vision to reality. We evaluate what they're looking for as a finished project to really impact their stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, that could be their parishioner or congregant, or it could be their patient or their nurse or doctor. It could be their teacher or their student, or an office goer, a worker. So we evaluate what they're looking for and then find out what they need from a program space perspective, and put that together into plans. We develop the plans from which the contractor is going to actually build the project. And then we work with the contractor and the owner through construction to make sure that what we call design intent is met. That what the client actually wanted to see happen is what actually gets built in the field. So that's the nutshell version of what I do on a daily basis.
For the layman's terminology for us that aren't in the architect world. So thank you for that. That's a great description. So hopefully everybody has a better understanding. So starting out with that, as the architect, when did this, the transition from architect to basically owning the business and running the business? Tell me about that. Before you answer that question, I wanted you to give some stats on how many women are actually in the architectural area in that industry.
Yeah, so there, for women in architecture, the statistics are hovering right around the 30 to 35% range. So we are still a very male-dominated profession. When I was in school, there were 5 of us in a class of 136 at Georgia Tech. So we've come a long way, baby. but we're still a very small percentage of that population. But in leadership, in architecture, it's 17%. And so when you talk, and that's not just CEOs, that's just women in leadership in our industry. So any type of leadership, it's a very, very small range within the profession. And it has definitely presented some challenges along the way.
I'm sure we're going to talk about those. Thank you for sharing that. I knew that's a very small percentage, and especially when you talk about the leadership part. So they're all saying it's lonely at the top.
Oh, yeah. It can be very lonely.
Yes. So what's it like being in your position, the CEO? Dare I ask how many female CEOs there are in the architect industry? Do you?
Oh, wow. I don't actually know that statistic. I will say that in Atlanta, we are blessed that I can think of a good handful, and it's, of women who are in leadership roles. People always say that the South is, we just haven't come as far, but actually, I think that from that perspective, we've been a bit more progressive than some of our neighbors around the nation.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges that you have experienced firsthand? Can you give us, I know we probably could talk a few hours about them, but you could pick which ones you want to share.
Yeah. Yeah. And, they've ranged. Okay. So I have also faced, I guess going back, I started with CDH right out of graduate school. So the challenges that I faced in my progression, my journey, are perhaps different than a woman who would be coming into this position to CDH or any other company for that matter, from an external role. Okay. So the challenges have been vast. They've been everything from being able to be taken seriously at the table, and not internally per se, but externally, where to this day, if I go with a gentleman from my office and the client on the other side doesn't know us, there is often the talk to the man at the table.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Yes.
so that still happens today, not as much as it used to, especially with the presence that I've had in the community here in Atlanta, as well as within the AEC, Architecture, Engineering, and Construction community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. um, but I guess thinking, so that's one of the challenges that I have faced, and learning how to create a presence without having some of the connotations that have come along with women being upfront about things.
You said that so nicely, Melissa. So
Yes.
very, very nicely put. Thank you. We all know what you're saying. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I've also experienced the challenge of being the young one in the room, even though I wish I could say that I'm still the young person in the room. I can't have that claim to fame anymore. But for a company where our average tenure is 15 plus years and we still have employee number one on our roster today, I have grown up with many of the people here at CDH, and some of those challenges have been that I was the intern and now I'm the CEO.
Oh, wow.
So that's been a different barrier that I have faced, not so much as a female, but as someone who has shown through my journey that I can take on some leadership roles a little bit differently than most architects, who are typically very introverted individuals.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that.
Oh yeah. We are by a species, if you will, a highly introverted group of people.
Okay.
So
and a lot of the things you mentioned are actually, I would say, pretty, I don't want to say common, but you hear about those type of things just across the board for females in general.
Absolutely.
These type of barriers or circumstances. So how do you overcome them or get through them?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that, and I think I've done it somewhat organically. So my mother she owned her own construction company when I was young. And so she taught me really early on how to have a presence with very strong male personalities. Because she had to run a job site on a daily basis. So I think I had a lot of lessons from her on how to hold myself in a room, and then even in the field, in the field meaning in the construction sites. I think I've also learned how to command attention versus demanding attention, and I differentiate the two. In that you don't earn respect at a table by demanding that respect. You earn that respect by having a presence of confidence and of backing it up with knowledge and expertise and collaboration and teamwork, and making sure that everyone there knows that you're there to be their partner. Because I think sometimes, especially in leadership roles, as women, it can be perceived as a threat. And that is the last thing that we want, is to be perceived as a threat, because then people shut down.
I love that. I just wrote that down. I'm going to remember that. Command versus demand.
Yes.
That's I like that. Hold on to that and use that. That's good. Thank you for sharing that little tip.
Yes.
That's a good analogy. I have not heard that before, but I'm going to take it with me. Is there, you mentioned something I wanted to go back to. You mentioned at your company that I don't know what the percentage is, but a large part of the employees have been there. Did you say over 15 or at least 15 years?
Our average tenure is 15 plus years, and many of them are 20 plus, 30 plus years. We have some that are sitting at One is at 40, almost 48 years, retiring this year, and another one is at 45, 46 years, and also retiring this year.
So that speaks a lot about your company. If you have people
Yeah.
that come and they stay, it must
They
be a
do.
great place to work. I have to give you kudos on that, and also share with our audience, and I'll let you talk about it a little more. Some of the awards you have received, which is pretty awesome. When I was reading your information, so you guys are I don't know what Titan 100 honoree is.
So, Titan 100 is a recognition of CEOs in this particular instance of the Atlanta area
Okay.
for our service to community and our progression through our careers.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You were the 2023 Cobb Chamber Small Business of the Year. Congratulations
Well,
on that. We
thank
know
you.
all about that over here at
Yes,
HRK.
ma'am.
Congratulations. That is wonderful. 2024 Cobb Chamber Hall of Fame, 2022 Globe Street Magazine Women Influence, and been featured on various podcasts, etc. And I have to, can I say it, a pre-congratulate? Is that what I'll call it? Because Melissa, you also are going to be the 2026 chair of the Cobb Chamber of Commerce. Congratulations
Yes.
on that.
Thank you.
So I wanted to read those because I'm just acknowledging what your company has done under your leadership. And this is about women breaking barriers. And that says a lot, which is one of the reasons we wanted you to be our guest. That says a lot about you and how you're running this successful business. And how does it feel to be in this position? One of the very few women out there in this industry, but just in general, you have done a lot in your tenure there. How long have you been CEO?
I have been CEO since December 2020.
So almost five, working on 5 years.
Working on 5 years. Yeah.
So congratulations on that. But
Thank
tell
you.
me, how does it feel, and what advice would you give to other women in this position or who are striving to be in this position?
So the advice that I typically give is to advocate for yourself. I didn't get here because I was simply recognized for what I could do. I asked for opportunity. And I think that spotlights drive. I think it spotlights the initiative that an individual has, the thirst for knowledge, and I think it also began to show the leaders of the company that I could also be a leader. I would also say that a lot of it came from my external drive to find more. I learned a lot from the founding partners. All three of the founding partners, as well as many others that I came across at CDH and external to CDH, were my mentors. They taught me so many things, and I took a bit of something from every single person that I have come across. And I know some people say my mentor was, well, I had so many that I can't even name them all. And they've all shaped me and who I became. And I think that's important, to find those individuals that you can learn from, both good and bad, right? Because we're all human. And figure out what your own personal style is, but then to look for those opportunities to work with others, to mentor others. We have it's almost a 50-50 split between men and women in our company, which is also highly unusual. I think we're one of the few in the Atlanta area even that has that demographic. But looking for ways to elevate others. So in our world where so few women are in positions to be in leadership, it is so frustrating for me to see other women push others down so that they can elevate themselves. And one thing I've done is made every effort for that not to be the case. So it's it's really important that we're always looking for those opportunities to pull other people up from the bootstraps, dust them off when they get knocked down, and tell them it's going to be okay.
I love that. Yes. And that we're not talking just architect.
No,
We're talking across the board, which is wonderful.
across the board.
And your stat, you said you have your company has almost an even split with both men and women.
Mhm.
Is that intentional, Melissa? Is that intentional?
So I've been asked that question many times, and I wish I could say that it was, but I think the difference, it was not, it was organic. And I think it's because we attracted more women to what we're creating here.
I love that.
Yeah. So more than 50% of my leadership team is female. That was because they were elevating themselves and also allowing themselves, again, to be picked up and said, okay, you've got this, go do it. So it's, I think it wasn't intentional. It was a little serendipitous.
Okay.
And I'm actually more proud of that fact that we've attracted that talent and that drive and that,
absolutely,
that type of personality that really thrives in that environment, because it's not for everybody.
That's true. That's true. I love that. You gave us a lot of great nuggets. I thank you for that. Advocate for yourself. Did you tell them you wanted to be CEO? Is that what happened?
I kind of did. So it's, young, fresh out of school. Bill Chegwin, our CEO at the time, stopped me in the hall and he said, "What do you want to do, with your career?" And I said, "I want to be sitting in your seat." And before I realized that I was saying it, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And he's like, "Be careful what you ask for. You might be here one day."
Wow.
And sure enough,
Look at you now.
sure enough, look at me now. Yeah.
We say speaking those things into existence. You spoke it and there you are.
Man.
But what I hear you, for all women, period, across time is the name of our topic today, breaking barriers, women across time. You advocate for yourself, believe in yourself, all of those things.
Yes.
I love that. And then mentors, you mentioned that. So that's another good nugget of how you got to where you are. You had some great mentors helping you, guiding you. So have mentors and be a mentor. That's what I hear you saying. I'm just kind of recapping.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then, of course, my favorite line of the afternoon is command versus demand.
Yes.
Much better place when you command something than you demand, because you want people on the good side. So
that's right. That's right.
And they're not gonna be real happy if you're a demander all the time. So thank you for sharing those great tidbits. I'm taking those with me. I'm sure our audience will too. Is there anything else you want to leave us with or share before we go, Melissa, about our topic, breaking barriers, women across time? I know you covered a lot, but is there anything else you want to say as you?
I think it's just, I would really just focus on, as women, looking for those women who you see that spark in. And making sure that you're taking them by the arm and giving them the opportunities. So while I say advocate for yourself, also advocate for others. There are some people that have that spark but may not have that confidence just yet. And being able to identify that and put them in the right place so that they can thrive, I think is a huge part of what we need to do within our careers and external to our careers in our personal lives.
Wonderful. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. It was truly a pleasant experience. I appreciate your time and you coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We hope you come back and visit us. So everybody, that's it for today with the Radical Edge of HR. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and listening and tuning in. If you have any HR needs and you'd like to contact us, you can do so. Find us on our social media platforms at HRKS LLC. So we look forward to seeing you on the next time, the Radical Edge of HR. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.